The September 2018 meeting of the City of Scranton Zoning Hearing Board will now come to order. Will the Secretary please take roll?
Mr. Walsh?
Here.
Ms. Newcomb?
Here.
Mr. Marks?
Here.
Chairman Gattens?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the Pennsylvania State Sunshine Law, this board shall render its decision on each case either at the end of each hearing or within 45 days of the hearing. If you are to give testimony in a case, please come to the podium, raise your right hand, and wait to be sworn in. After being sworn in, state your name and address and proceed with your testimony. Also, anyone giving testimony who does not become a party to the case may obtain a written decision from the zoning officer. I have two announcements of law. If you are granted a variance or a special exception, you must wait 30 days from the date of our decision to obtain the necessary permits to start your work. However, you may obtain a permit sooner by signing a waiver that any work done during that 30-day period is at your own risk. A favorable decision by the board shall expire 12 months from the date of said authorization, in accordance with Section 111I of the zoning ordinance. If you fail to obtain the necessary permits or do not comply with any or all conditions of said authorization, you must seek an extension. Any remarks? Jack, can you attest to the postings?
I, Jack Sweeney, zoning officer for the City of Scranton, do solemnly swear that I have posted tonight's addresses with the notice of zoning hearing for the following addresses: Times Outdoor Shamrock, rear 63 Munchak Way, Ryan Atcroft, Birdhouse Outdoor, 501 Wyoming Avenue, Maple Valley Rentals, 1349 St. Anne Street. Number 4, tonight will be continued to next month due to illness. Number 5, 1663 North Kaiser Avenue. And number 6, 724 Court Street. The properties were posted on August 31st, 2018.
Thank you. Will you call the first case?
Number 1, Times Outdoor, rear 63 Munchak Way. I do my affidavits.
Good evening. My name is attorney Mike Cosgrove. I represent Time Shamrock Outdoor tonight.
Okay, Mr. Cosgrove, is your client going to give testimony?
He is going to give
Why don't we get him sworn in now then?
Okay.
Can you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Could you please state your name and address clearly and spell it for the stenographer, please?
My name is David Mehall. Last name is Mehall. I'm at 305 Abbey Drive, South Abington Township.
Thank you. You can proceed.
Thank you. We're here tonight for a variance regarding a billboard. Dave will give testimony regarding the situation with the Scranton School District. They're partnering up to put a billboard on the North Scranton Expressway. It's a community partnership between the Time Shamrock Outdoor and the Scranton School District that was proposed back in April of this year by the Scranton School District to try to raise some revenue, and Dave will get into particulars of the contract. It's contingent upon us receiving a variance here today because the location, which I'll be showing the board, is right next to the expressway, but it is on the Scranton School District property, but does require a variance because it's in the institutional general zone. And we would just be requesting a minimal variance just for the pole to support the billboard. Could I approach, please?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Okay, thanks. Okay, so thank you.
I just handed you showing on the map the location of the billboard, and then also the resolution from the school board of May 7th of this year, granting the proposal submitted by Time Shamrock. And like I said, the particulars will be testified to by Dave, who is the manager for Time Shamrock, and I'll call him to the podium now to testify.
Thank you.
Good evening. As earlier stated, my name is Dave Mihal. I'm currently the Director of Outdoor Media with Time Shamrock Outdoor. I have been with the organization for the past 13 years. I have been with the Billboard division since its inception in 2013. Prior to joining Time Shamrock, I did spend some time with Lamar Advertising as well. And we were very excited for this opportunity to create a public and private partnership with the Scranton School District. Our plan is to install a 14 by 48 back-to-back digital billboard on the unused property behind Scranton High School on the expressway. We will be able to control all of the lighting for the billboard and make sure it meets every safety requirement that is needed. And the board will also have the ability to send out any type of emergency alerts, such as Amber Alerts or severe weather updates. In addition, the billboards will also be able to showcase all the different things that are happening within the Scranton School District, special achievements from the students, if there's any kind of current events that are happening on any one of the school properties within the district. As Attorney Cosgrove had mentioned, an RFP was issued by the district back in March. We were one of two of the locally owned and operated billboard companies to step up and to reply to that RFP, in which we were awarded one of the opportunities. We've all seen or read a lot of the stories about the current financial state within the district, and we thought this was a great opportunity for us to kind of step up and help to be able to contribute some sort of a stable financial assistance for the district over the course of the next 25 years. That pretty much kind of sums up what we have and where we're at right now.
Is there going to be any kind of advertising on the sign besides school district events? And
There will be. There will be 7 slots for advertising on there. The school district will be able to use one of them throughout the terms of the year, and the rest will be all various local businesses and national businesses as well. There will be restrictions on the board. We will not allow alcohol. We will not allow tobacco. We will not allow guns. There will be other restrictions that will come into the terms of that contract as well.
And you're looking for just one variance, or you're looking for 2 variants on this one here?
Just one variance.
Okay. So as you're aware, I mean, it's an institutional G area, I mean, which prohibits them altogether in that site.
Yes.
And I don't know if you're also aware that under 712F, number 2, the sign does not butt or does not face East or West Market Street, North or South Kaiser Avenue, or the North Scranton Expressway south of the intersection with Main Avenue. So you're looking for a variance for the sign, or you're also looking for a variance for that part of it? Dan, do they need a second variance on that?
I think the variance is to locate the sign where they're proposed to locate it, which basically doesn't fit any of those, so it's
Right.
really one variance. I do have one comment for Attorney Cosgrove. I just want to give him this. The board received this letter today from Lamar. You can object to it, or you can comment on it as you see fit.
Assuming they're objecting.
Yes.
I would object to the submission of this for a lack of standing in this situation.
Basically, their biggest thing, you can have that letter, is talking about it can't be built as per PennDOT and Federal Highway Administration regulations. So I don't know if you want to comment on that part of it.
Yes, we're aware of the PennDOT requirements. We've already reached out to PennDOT, and they're waiting to see if the variance is granted, and then the procedure will start with them. But we've already put in motion what's necessary with PennDOT.
Going forward, does Time Shamrock have any other locations where the softball fields are across the road, where they have land also looking to put signs up, or is this the one and only one they're going to put on that property that they own over there?
We were awarded only the contract for Scranton High School on the expressway. The other contract was awarded to King Outdoor Advertising. So at this time, we're only worried about the property behind the Scranton Expressway.
Do you represent the school district? Did I hear?
No, I represent Time Shamrock Outdoor.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. If there was an opportunity to do something else on other properties, of course, we'd be interested in that, but this is only for the property on Scranton Expressway right now.
My concern is that we're going against the ordinance the way it's written in two parts. One, that it's not allowed there, and then two, we're allowing it to be placed in a place that's strictly called out as south of Main Avenue. My concern is whether it's Time, Shamrock, Lamar, King, or any of them, we're opening the door to all of a sudden start dotting that highway right there with signs.
That's just in reply to that, we've already considered that, and it appears that this location it fits every other requirement as far as there's no residences around the area. There's a sign directly across the expressway that is already there, and any other school district property would not be considered for this type of
So you're
sign.
requesting a variance. What hardship are you coming to us with to request that variance?
Well, our argument is it's a minimal variance, so the restrictions are a little less required. The hardship is actually this particular area of the land of the school district is unusable. They've already pretty much used every inch of that area. The tennis courts are nearby, the baseball court, the building. So they have a little sign that says Scranton High, which would be right next to it, but otherwise it's unusable. And in this case, it's now going to generate revenue for them, which is very important to the school district.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that is showing a hardship that meets the needs for the hardship here. And definitely the revenue part isn't, as you know, it's called out, that it can't be economic hardship. I'm sure myself and the rest of the board is aware of the condition of the Scranton School District. I just don't see how it meets the hardship to request a variance.
Dan, if something like this is approved and like Mr. Gattens was saying, it opens up the door. If somebody up the road wants to put another sign, they would still have to come back before us to get approved or not?
If it's not permitted under the ordinance, then they would have to come back here, yes.
How many square feet was that sign going to be?
672 on each side. It's a 14 by 48, two-sided digital.
How tall?
25 feet above grade.
Anybody else?
Are there any other signs within 400 feet of this particular sign, proposed sign?
No, there's not.
I'm sorry, Dan, I heard your question. I didn't hear the answer.
No, there's not.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here to give testimony in this case? Thanks.
I make a motion.
Second.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Ms. Newcomb?
Seeing as how you've mentioned my employer 10 times in your whole spiel, it would be a conflict of interest for me to vote since it would benefit me for the Scranton School District, as I am my employer. So I'm going to abstain from this vote.
We understand.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Chairman Gattens?
No. By a vote of 2 to 1, you've been approved. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 2, Ryan Adcroft, 501 Wyoming Avenue.
Good evening. Mine.
An attorney?
Yes.
Okay, let's swear your client in then.
Sure.
Raise your right hand, please. You can stand at the podium. Yeah. Ready? You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Ryan Adcroft, 801 Electric Street, Scranton, PA.
Can you spell your last name, please?
Adcroft.
We're good.
My name is Matt Barrett. I'm here on behalf of Birdhouse Outdoor, the applicant and appellee in tonight's zoning matter. My last name is Barrett, B-A-R-R-E-T-T.
You can proceed.
I think the first issue is Mr. Adcroft has filed an appeal on behalf of Birdhouse LLC. We're seeking a approval for a billboard. It's a billboard night here at zoning on Wyoming Avenue, otherwise known as Battaglia Building. There is a previously approved billboard for that property as well. So if you picture the sign facing towards town, towards Mulberry Street, and then of course the other side of the building faces down towards Scranton Prep. There's been an approval for one sign. I think the application sought approval for 2 signs. Mr. Sweeney, I think, has denied the application with regards to a second sign, and I think that's what brings us here tonight.
Correct.
So we're really appealing Mr. Sweeney's denial of the permit.
Yes.
Okay. Perhaps we should have Mr. Sweeney tell the board why he denied the permit.
Thank you. There have been several questions over the last year or so about putting 2 signs on one building and more or less circumventing the 400-foot rule on spacing. Last summer, Joyce Outdoor came to us with the premise that he should be able to use the building as the sign mount, and therefore, since it's a double-sided billboard, he should be able to put signs on each side of the building. We needed an interpretation from the zoning ordinance, so the law department looked at it and made a decision that it was allowed to put signs on both sides of the building, which is what Mr. Adcroft was working under the assumption, rightfully so, I might add. And it was at that point that there was some confusion in our office, in the LIPS department, whether or not this approval from the law department was a one-time approval or if it was an ongoing policy. And it was decided that we should deny the 2 billboards and allow him to go forward with 1, not realizing, of course, that it was a contractual problem for him. So we needed to get a one-time decision whether it would be allowed or not to put signs on both sides of the building or not.
Just out of curiosity, why would it go to the law department, not our solicitor?
Mr. Joyce went to the law department. He solicited the opinion.
So, I mean, that
And I think, to be honest with you, I think our director instructed him to do that.
And I don't want to guess at what the law department did, but because I'm hired to represent the hearing board, you guys, and it potentially would become here, it was probably better that they went to the law department first so that I can instruct you guys when it does in fact come here, which is what happened.
all right, thank you.
May I ask Mr. Sweeney some questions if he's completed what he had to say? Has Mr. Sweeney previously been sworn?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Mr. Sweeney, you had referenced an opinion from the city of Scranton with regards to a prior application by Joyce Outdoor Advertising. Is this a true and correct copy of that letter?
Yes, sir.
Can we have that marked as applicant exhibit number 1, I guess? Is that your preference?
Sure. And that's the letter from the law department, from Jessica.
Give that to Mr. Penatone, I'd be happy to show it to the board.
They have copies.
Yeah,
We have a copy.
So, and then, as I understand, Mr. Sweeney, you've indicated that the application was denied based upon an interpretation of the ordinance section 4 with regards to spacing. Any off-premises sign shall be separated by a minimum of 400 feet. Is that the section that you're relying upon?
Yes, that was the concern.
And do you have a copy of that there in front of you?
I do not, but I'm familiar with it.
Sure.
Well, yeah,
With regards to that section, can we agree that that section reads, any off-premises sign shall be separated by a minimum of 400 feet from any other off-premise sign that faces onto the same side of the same street, including existing signs in other municipalities? There's another section to that, but with regards to that section, have I read it correctly? And can we agree that the application for the signage in this particular situation, the signs would face in opposite directions to the opposite sides of the street?
agreed.
With regards to the, I think you had said that when the application came to your office and you're charged of administering the zoning ordinances here in the city of Scranton, correct?
Yes,
And I think you said that there was some confusion or some ambiguity within the department, and therefore you decided that it would be best to have it come to the board?
it wasn't my decision, it was the director's decision, Patrick Kenton.
Okay. In any event, given the uncertainty of the situation, you thought it best to have it come up to the board to deny the permit and then let the applicant take the appeal?
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any further questions for Mr. Sweeney. If I could make a legal argument in an effort to kind of just zero in on the issue, I think Mr. Sweeney, I understand he's in a difficult position and trying to apply the ordinances, but as I read section 4, there is no spacing issue because the ordinance deals with signs facing in the same direction to the same side of the street. This situation obviously would have a sign facing Wyoming Avenue towards Mulberry Street and a sign facing Wyoming Avenue at Olive and Olive facing Mulberry, and then the other section would be on the other side of it, on the Wyoming side facing down towards Scranton Prep. So these are not signs that are facing in the same direction. Additionally, the Municipal Planning's Code, section 603.1, specifically says interpretation of ordinance provisions and interpreting the language of a zoning ordinance to determine the extent of the restriction upon the use of the property. The language shall be interpreted where doubt exists as to the intended meaning of the language written and enacted by the governing body in favor of the property owner and against any implied extension or restriction. So in this situation, if we take the plain reading of the language, it clearly says that it deals with signs facing in the opposite direction. So, in the same direction. We're not dealing with that situation. To the extent there's any ambiguity, it must be construed in favor of the applicant and the property owner. And to the extent Mr. Sweeney has already testified that this has been previously approved in the city, I think it was over on Poplar Street, I think it's
That's correct, yes.
the Mamma Mia building. It's the same situation, two sides of a building one facing up towards North Washington, one facing down towards Wyoming. So I'm happy to proceed, but at the same time, I would submit that the zoning office has not met its burden on the appeal, and therefore the application on its face should be approved, or the appeal should be granted.
Let's just go through and make sure we have everything straight. To allow an off-premise sign, we are in an IL zone, so therefore it is a permitted use. The second thing is it's only permitted within 250 feet of an existing right-of-way, which it is. The maximum sign area would be what, Mr. Barrett? What are you proposing with the sign?
I think that the permit as submitted requested 672 feet.
Okay, so we're within the...
660.
Yeah, it's
the
within the
ordinance.
ordinance, right?
It's within the ordinance on that. The height is within the ordinance, the lighting and glare will take care of, the setbacks are within the ordinance. So
Yes.
really, the only thing is the spacing. And the spacing reads, it must be separated by a minimum of 400 feet from any other off-premise sign that faces onto the same side of the same street. So I'm going to ask you to say, is there any other sign within 400 feet if you're proceeding from Scranton Prep toward town?
Sure, let me ask Mr. Ackroft that. And I'm excluding, obviously, the sign that's been approved for one side of the building, because...
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's-
So with regards to, if we just assume that the approved sign were to go on the Olive and Wyoming side of the Battaglia building, if we take the other side, on the Battaglia other side of the building, are there any signs within 400 feet of that property moving towards, down Wyoming Avenue towards Scranton Prep?
There are no signs within 500 feet in any direction as far as off-premise.
Okay, and going the other direction, away from town,
Any
same
direction,
thing?
Yes.
Okay. If you're looking for my opinion, I think he fits the ordinance, to be honest with you.
And I'm fine with that, by the way.
But we have to have an official vote on that, to accept my interpretation.
Is anyone else here to give testimony in this appeal? Okay, thank you.
Make a motion?
I'll second it.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Ms. Newcomb?
I do agree that he meets the ordinance, but on the other hand, we have denied people this exact thing before. People have come before us asking for signs, and we've denied them, and if we approve them and deny them, it doesn't seem like it's fair, because in the future, people are going to come back to us, I assume. So for that reason alone, I'm going to say no.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Chairman Gattens?
Yes, by a vote of 3 to 1, you've been approved. Good luck.
And just so I know, on that vote, that was a motion with an approval of the appeal.
Of the appeal.
Of the appeal, yes.
Thank you. All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 3, Maple Valley Rentals. Not down. This is, we don't have to make anything for the board of eventually we want to do this because
Attorney?
Yes, but not an acting an attorney, but not here as an attorney. I'm also one of the owners of Maple Valley Rentals.
Okay.
Yeah, swear me in, yeah.
All right, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but your truth? So help you God?
I do.
Can you please state your name and address?
Joshua Borer, 3222 Dowd Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania, 18505.
And we'll sign you in, or swear you in as well. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God?
I do.
Can you please state your name and address?
Patrick Kulik, 2910 McCarthy Street, Scranton, PA, 18505.
Could you spell your last name, please?
Kulick.
Thank you. You can proceed.
So we filed for a variance at 1349 St. Anne Street. It's located directly next to Maroney's Pizza in Westside. We are currently in a sales agreement to purchase the property. The property has been condemned by the city since March of 2015, which puts us into the variance position. So the with the grandfathered use, the nonconformity that would no longer be acceptable. So the property was built in the early 1920s as a first and second floor apartment building. It doesn't really fit the definition of the code as a conversion apartment because it was never set up as a single family home. So it wouldn't be a situation to convert it back to a single family home. It would, and that's really the hardship that's presented. So we're really just looking in order to keep a 2-unit, keep it an existing 2-unit. And I understand that a lot of times the issue is with off-street parking. The property does abut to an alley to the rear of the property, which allows us to provide the 3 parking spaces that would be otherwise required for the 2-unit, keeping within the required buffer zones to either both side properties as well as to the rear alley.
Could you expand on how the property was built as an up and down? Tell the board how it exists, what's there?
Sure. So the way this is based on our inspection and going through the property. If you were to look at the property from the front of St. Anne's, it would appear to otherwise be a single family home. There's a front porch with the front door that enters into the first unit. And around the rear, there's also then a rear door that enters into the first floor unit. The first and second floor units are each 725 square feet. They consist of 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, and a kitchen. Our proposal is to essentially fully renovate and rehab the property to bring it back to like a current use, and to place 2 tenants. The second floor unit is more or less a mirror of the first floor unit. Each unit is 725 square feet. It's also 2 bedrooms. There's just slight variations for like the location of the staircase on the first floor that goes to the basement, and then there is a walk-up attic in the second floor, so that because of those staircases, the hallways are slightly different, and then the second floor interior wall between what would be like a living room and one of the bedrooms is a little bit different to account for the lack of the front door, because there's no door in the front on it. So, and then the exterior staircase, the entrance to the second floor apartment comes from the rear, which goes into the kitchen area. Both rear doors enter into the kitchen, and then the parking that we would propose, the off-street parking, would be in the rear.
You're going to remove that fence in the rear and pull
Yes.
that little shed that's there, or whatever that storage shed was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The shed, and there's a little like brick barbecue structure,
Yeah.
and a portion of the fence that would come down, and then the parking would go right there.
And you're going to pave that parking pad?
I'm sorry?
You pave the parking pad?
Yes. So our plan initially, at least during the construction phase, my understanding is that we would be allowed to be able to leave it gravel at least for up to a year during construction, and then ultimately pave it.
That's correct, up to a year max.
Okay.
And you mentioned the buffers, right, in your application?
Yes. Yeah. The buffers, the 4-foot buffers, we would maintain the
On either side of the lot?
Yep, either sides of the lot would be grass, and then we've planned that the parking would be deep enough to allow for a 4-foot buffer to the alley as well, so they'd be able to pull far enough forward to allow for an additional 4 feet to the alley, so there would be no obstruction of view in the alley.
And as an extra, a little backyard, too.
Sure. Yep.
That's good.
Is there anyone else here to give testimony in this case?
Make a motion?
I'll second it.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes.
Ms. Newcomb?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Chairman Gaddens?
Yes, by a vote of 4-0, you've been approved. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Agenda item number 4 has been continued to next month, so we will move to agenda item number 5, 1663 North Kaiser Avenue.
Before we begin this case, we swear anybody or anything like that, once again, the applicant hasn't supplied a parking plan till late after the packets have been mailed out. And I'm having a hard time sitting here tonight, to be honest with you, to give a fair verdict without having this in hand where we got the chance to go out and take a look at your property that you're looking at. For us to look at this here tonight, we're not visualizing your parking lot.
The buyers were out of the country, and that was the delay.
I understand that. So what, I'm just going to make this,
And basically, what they've told me, and
Right.
and they'll put it in writing, is that whatever your requirements are, they'll do. They don't have a set plan that has to be perfect. In other words, if you want the parking spaces a different way, they're
I
really...
I speak for myself, I like the opportunity to go out and take a look at this with the parking plan in hand. So I can't force you to table this, but I think it'd be a good idea to table it to next month so the board has an opportunity to go out with the parking plan in hand, whether this is the one they want to use or they want to come up with a different one between now and, say, a week from now or 2 weeks from now, and have a fair shot at looking at it and render the right decision according to your parking plan.
You know better than me, so I don't, obviously, the agreement itself will just have to be changed. It's been changed twice now, but if you feel the need to do that,
Well, I mean, it's up to you. It's your call what you want to do here tonight. I mean, before we get going with it.
And does any other board member have a comment on that?
Jack, look at the property?
Hang on.
I think I made my point when I commented on incomplete applications on a monthly basis, so
Yeah, well-
I'm in agreement with Gaddens.
I mean, even the one that was submitted, there really isn't much there to go on, right? Doesn't tell us.
I was to the property, so, you know, I can get an idea of what they mean, but again, it was submitted late. I told when they submitted the application that I needed a parking plan. I actually held up the packet for the board several days waiting for it, and I couldn't hold it up any longer. So I submitted the parking plan when the board got here earlier, so they would have a chance to look at it, but it's totally the board's decision. The next meeting will be October 10th.
would it make a difference if you saw the survey and you could see the size of the... Okay.
I'm being honest with you. I mean, everyone that came before us, the one that was canceled next week, gave us a detailed parking plan. So, when I myself went out there, I was able to look at that parking plan and see where they're going to put their cars and what their spacing was going to be and their buffer zones and that. This, to be given tonight at 5 to 6, it doesn't tell me anything, and it's not a visual to really go by. It's just squares drawn. So, I'd rather have the opportunity, in fairness to you, to go out and take a look at that with the parking plan.
Is a month going to matter?
I mean, you could arrange it any way possible. I mean, it's 50 by 165 and 50 by 240.
But the onus falls on you to
Yeah,
provide the parking plan and a correct parking plan. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and surmise that's what you're going to do. I want to
he's the
see
seller.
what you're going to do.
He's
Okay,
not
I'm
the
sorry. He's the seller. Whoever's coming in there is going to do. It's up to you. We can continue. It's up to you.
We can proceed with the hearing tonight based on what we have, or you can ask for a continuance to October to give yourself an opportunity to present more detailed parking plans by the buyer. I know the seller isn't going to be able to help, but the buyer should be able to give the board a little more detail.
And I have a text from him. He was planning on being here. He's in the hospital.
Yeah.
Understandable.
So,
I mean, the problem, I didn't even realize there's property behind these buildings here. I didn't even look at that.
That's why the survey really makes a big difference, that you can see that
Yeah,
there's
but that
actually...
wasn't given to us, was it? Was that given? I didn't, was there?
No, I don't have a survey.
No, I don't know.
So, I mean, well, all I looked at was this property off of Kaiser Avenue. I knew nothing of the rear.
Can I submit the survey and show it to you?
But again, we're getting it, you know.
why don't you submit the survey
We can
with
submit
the
it, we'll look
parking
at it.
plan, with the more detailed parking plan?
Because it's also not allowing us to say, regulate how many cars you're going to be allowed to have on that spot there.
And again, that's what the buyer is saying to you. Like, he has a car lot in Duryea, and he just followed whatever their regulations were.
I know, but
And
that's Duryea. You know that, and it's a Scranton. I mean,
I'm from
it's two
Bronx.
different. But I know, but I'm saying, I mean, I'm sure there's two different complete regulations on everything, not just this car lot. But I myself would just be more comfortable with a detailed parking plan submitted with your survey, and this way your buyer gets a fair shake too. Like, you know, we have all the completed information in front of us.
All right, that's the only thing that'll hold it up is the parking.
And as for your application, I might suggest that where it says approximate project cost, you don't put zero. Maybe come up with some estimate. Because right now you just have a parking project cost zero, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to be free to do all that work there.
And we're not saying that it's going to be a guaranteed approval when they come back next time, but just, if that's what you're asking.
Just a little bit more preparedness, that's all.
Cindy, I'd be happy to, I haven't seen your plan there, that you're talking the survey, but I would think it would be best if we set up a meeting, you come to City Hall and sit down with me with your survey, and I can help you put together a plan that I think the board would at least understand better, and you would have a better chance of going forward than...
Yeah, and I'd like to see this go through. I think it's going to help the city and definitely Mr. Matarazzi, so.
Yeah, we're not trying to go against them, but it's just better if we have the facts in front of us to make a clear decision on it.
It's rather incomplete, and this way here, we'll start fresh on the 10th, and they'll have a better plan for them to look at.
Technically, Mr. Matarazzi, you have to ask the board for a continuance to October.
You can't hear.
You can't hear.
They want you to ask for a continuance to October.
Oh, okay. Continuance until October. October 12th, was it?
10th,
10th?
yes.
I'll make a motion that we file a continuance.
Second.
Mr. Walsh?
Yes, for a continuance.
Ms. Newcomb?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Chairman Gattens?
Yes, by a vote of 4-0, your continuance has been granted to October 10th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's early.
Agenda item number 6, 724 Court Street.
Yes, my name is Mohammed Abdullah, last name Abdullah, and I'm talking reference to 724 Court Street. My home address is 1610 Electric Street, Dunmore.
We need to swear him in.
I need to swear you in yet. You're
Yes,
getting
yes,
ahead of
sir,
me.
I will speak to not anything else.
Raise your right hand, please.
Right hand.
You solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth, is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I will, thank you.
Good, and we already covered the other bases, you got all the information? You can proceed.
The microphone.
You can give them the things, just don't talk while you're doing it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mohammed.
I realized that the map, you have information before, it was not properly drawn and not properly presented. So I appreciate Mr. Sweeney with his guidance of all the regulations and requirements. I prepared this, try to be as much clear as possible, and I can proceed further.
Just for clarification, Mr. Mohammed was here last month seeking 4 apartments. This is a new application for 3.
Is he looking for 2 or 3?
Right now, there's
From
2.
2 to 3?
I'm sorry, 2, my mistake.
Well, no, he's looking for 3.
Yeah, he's going
it's
from 2.
presently 2, he's looking
Okay,
for
thank
3. He was here last month looking for 4.
Yep.
And the board turned him down. So this is a new application, he repaid and so on.
Jack, did you assist in this second drawing? Because it's different than the one we had when we went out,
Not really.
as far as suggestions.
I just basically gave him the
Yeah.
information necessary as far as this.
Yeah, I study, I'm an engineer myself, and I sit down and the motions, and I study, and I said, this correction has to be done. After, when I submit to him, I reevaluate myself, and I come up with a better and clear propositions.
Just to be clear, I didn't assist in this drawing
Yes.
at all. This was done by
Yes,
Mohammed, and based on last month's hearing and comments and et cetera.
Yeah, we discuss on the area requirements, and after that, all these, the new changes, I made it because of the motion studies of the car.
Yeah, the reason I ask is the drawing, like I said,
Yes.
it's different than,
That's different because,
slightly.
yeah, it's a little bit different, yes. I just want to be more realistic and more workable as the motions of the traffic. And I also made the change to that porch for the safety reason. I made the entrance to the side instead of the front. So this way is for safety concern.
You haven't done that yet?
I beg your pardon? No, I didn't do it.
Right.
Okay, so the big difference here from when we were at the property.
Yes.
The porch is no longer going to be accessed from the rear? It's gonna be
No, on the front,
side
it's gonna be on the side.
to
So this
leave
way,
them.
you know, in case of the
Right.
cars, it has to be more safety.
And the step that was there, was that wood or is that a concrete
It's
step?
two steps only.
Were they wood or concrete?
No, it's a wood.
Okay, so it's
But
easy to
it's,
remove.
once on the front will be limited, put bars there, and on the side will be entrance.
Okay.
How are they gonna get out of these parking spots? Are they backing back out to the road, or how are they getting out?
No, there's a Diamond Avenue, and there's a big gate there.
Right, so you pull in, but how do you get out?
Same way back.
You have to back out on the street.
Yeah.
Isn't that,
Or even at the last space, if you see that, there's a plenty of space which can be turned and can go back. Can I come and explain you?
Sure.
I think I know what you mean. You mean back out of the spot and turn into the other spot that's extra?
Yes.
Number
There's
6?
plenty of space here. It's almost like
Here, can you,
you can turn here. Yeah. Like this is plenty of space here, so it can be used like turn this way and then go back this way for the exit. That's one of, like this way you can turn back and then go back this way. Right?
I don't, how many, can you tell me also how many feet, you can go back to the podium, so, because I need mine. How many feet from the end of the parking spots to that porch? It says it's 28 feet from your buffer
Yeah,
or
the
the fence.
requirement is 18 feet, and this is a 28 feet from
Yes,
that,
but-
and plus 4 feet in the front.
what
So
is it,
total
10
is
feet?
38 feet. The first 4 feet as per requirements,
Okay, I think maybe. Carrie, let me, I think the question, Mr. Abdullah, is how many feet is there from the end of parking space number 4 to the porch?
That's exactly what.
this is about like 11 feet.
11 feet.
Yes, sir.
I don't
Seems
think
too
that's
tight.
possible, Dan. If it's 28 feet from the property line, you got 4 feet plus the parking spot.
No, not 28 feet from the property line is gonna be 28 plus 4 plus 6. That's gonna be 38 feet.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to disagree with you. We measure, we're over there, and we came off the fence that's there, and we measured 26 feet from the fence, which is on the other side of that buffer, 26 feet from that fence to the bottom of that step that's there.
Right, 2 feet, the step will be eliminated, yes.
But it's still not giving you enough room, because out of that 28 feet, you're saying.
Yes, sir.
You're going to lose 4 feet.
4 feet plus 28 feet is gonna be
We're not adding them.
total.
We're not adding them, we're
No.
subtracting them.
No, I think what he's saying is, if you look at the right side of the property is 38 feet from the building to the fence. This is what he's saying. Okay? So if you take the 4 feet off of the buffer and the 6 feet off of the porch, it gives you 28 feet from the parking to the porch.
But looking
I
at
think
that property.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, but looking at that property, that fence comes down the side of the house, that's where the 66 feet is written, and it goes down there for about 8 feet, and it's 2 feet in off that original fence. So, not being a surveyor or anything like that, my guess is that was a walk-around for the house that sits there. So, we measured off the fence that's closest to his property. Which measured from that fence to the bottom of the step 26 feet.
Is the fence the property line?
I beg your pardon?
Is the fence that he's talking about the property line?
You mean, I'm going to make clear more question. Which fence he is talking about? The back side or on the side? On the side of the parking lot? Can I come to you and you can specify it?
Sure. Right, I'm looking for the fence. Let me draw it out for you first. Okay. So the fence goes like this. Okay, so what we have is, this is your property down here, your house. Okay? This is the house that's across from it, across your lot. This fence comes in for a couple of feet here. Front section of that fence coming into your property. So,
Oh, that's about like 1.5 feet.
well, it's about 2 feet, what we measured. So even at, so which is the property line? This one or this one?
I measure from that one.
Okay, well, you're assuming that's your property line.
Yes, it is.
So that fence, this fence here comes into your property line?
Yes. That's what, they just had it because of they put a meter there and just for, they entered there. But it was there, but that was not their property. The property, this is.
So the back section of fence what you're going by? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. The concern I have with the drawing is what Mr. Walsh might have brought up before. When you angle the cars in your drawing as you are, I'm concerned on how your cars are going to come out here without backing onto Diamond Avenue, which we can't approve for you to back into a city street.
It can be turned into this.
We only have 10 feet roughly, right?
As I discussed with Mrs. Sweeney, the requirement is 9 by 18.
Right.
After that, I believe the 10 feet for a car is a lot of space.
Well, it's 18 feet. Oh, you're talking about we have regulations in place that call out what that has to be.
Usually car is about like 11, 12.
I understand that.
As per specification is 18.
Right.
And I think it's plenty of space.
Okay. All right, I'm glad you think that. Thank you.
Just per the ordinance, the minimum aisle for a one-way use is 12 feet, and for a two-way use is 20 feet.
One more thing, if you advise, we can do it. The porch, we can reduce to the steps. Instead of having the 6 feet porch, we can turn into 2 feet steps. But I feel it's if adequate space, if not, then that's another options will be available.
On your application,
Yes, sir.
it calls out for the present and proposed use is a two-family,
Yes, sir.
and you want to go to a 3 or 4 family. Which one do you want to go to?
I will be happy with 3 or 4, either way.
The application's for 3.
Well, let's say 3 or 4.
It says 3 or 4.
Actually,
yeah.
there are
He
4
was already-
bathroom, 4 kitchen, and I would be happy with 4, but
Well-
if, in case if you really, for 3, I will be okay.
I don't think we can consider 4, we already turned
We
it
already
down.
turned that down, and my understanding it
No,
was for
because
3.
that time the map was not clearly drawn.
Still not clear.
Well, my understanding it was for 3. overlooked that, but it was supposed to be for 3, or otherwise you wouldn't be here.
So you're looking for 4 tonight?
If it is possible, if you,
Well, I want an accurate number.
I
We're not going to
kindly-
decide if it's 3 or 4.
I leave it door open because the apartment is, rooms are so big, and I appreciate your help.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you the last time.
Yes, sir.
How many units are you coming before this board for? 3 or 4?
3.
You have to present, so you're...
3.
All you want is 3 before...
3.
Thank you.
Oh, yes.
And that's what my understanding was as well.
That's what we discussed about it.
Is there anyone else here to give testimony in this case?
Yeah. Why doesn't he just like reverse them, put them in this way, and like pull in this way so you can pull out?
Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Can you please state your name and address?
Donna Romano, R-O-M-A-N-O, 1205 Diamond Avenue, Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I
You
didn't
can
know about
proceed.
that.
Okay. He has promised to put a parking lot in, okay? He has promised to do several things. I disagree with making 3 families because it's nice and quiet now, okay? We don't have any drug addicts or riffraff in the neighborhood, okay? The old people are afraid to walk by his house. He had 3 pit bulls living there at one time. His top porch on Diamond Avenue is very weak. I've been up there with the tenant. You're not allowed to stand on there. The weeds are as tall as I am. Okay, the property is not taken care of. They had towels in the windows for curtains. Okay, the property is so bad. And the bathrooms downstairs, they are not improved. Some of them were on cinder blocks. The girl that lived in the apartment had a leak. The plumbing wasn't fixed. Okay, so why is he looking to make 3? So he can get cash under the table and make another rooming house. 2 times he did it. How many more are you going to give him to do it? He can't. He can't do this. I'm right across the street. Okay, there's a new neighbor moving in with a child, and they're saying, Donna, go fight for us. We want the neighborhood quiet.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
I have a question before we move forward. We're currently a 2-family. Did we require a parking plan for the 2-family with off-street parking that needs to be done by a certain time?
I think it had been a 2-family prior and was grandfathered in as a 2-family.
Okay.
Correct, and we did shut it down for an illegal rooming house approximately a year ago. And when it passed its inspections to reopen, it was reopened only as a 2-unit, which is why he came back last month for 4 and this month for 3. To the best of my knowledge, there's only 2 units active in there, although we have had complaints from various neighbors about various aspects of the property. And I believe, if not mistaken, several quality of life tickets were issued regarding the grass and the weeds and so on.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Mr. Walsh?
No.
Ms. Newcomb?
No.
Mr. Marks?
No.
Chairman Gattens?
No. By a vote of 4-0, your request has been denied. Thank you.
So Mohammed will have to stay as a 2-unit, I'm afraid.
Meeting adjourned.